Hello everyone. Now I am going to start with the graph theory. As you can see over here, what is graph theory? So we are going to start with the basics of graph theory. Okay. So you can see here definitions of graph theory. A graph theory which is defined as a pair of set of vertices and edges. We are going to denote vertices as a V and edges as a E. Okay. So now we are going to see by example of the graph. So this is an example of a graph. So we can see here the number of vertices here, v1, v2, v3 and v4. So these are the set of vertices and these are the set of edges. So we can say like that also, the number of vertices in G in any graph G, which is also called as a order of G, and the number of edges in graph G, which is also called as a size of G. So what will be the order of this graph? The number of vertices. So number of vertices is 4, so order of the graph is 4, and number of edges in this graph is 5, so size of graph is 5. Okay, so now we are going down and we will see here the types of graph. So as you can see here, the first mentioned graph is null graph and empty graph. Okay, so what is the empty graph? As the name you can guess it, empty. What is the empty graph? Okay, empty graph which doesn't have any edges. Okay, it will be called null graph. Okay, the second graph is undirected graph and non-directed graph. As a name you can guess there what will be the definitions of undirected graph and non-directed graph, which doesn't have any direction. So we can see here the definitions of graph. Each edge is represented by a set of two vertices where vi or vj, these are the vertices sets of vertices. Okay, so graph without any directions, we can say like that, graph without any directions is called as a undirected and non-directed graph. So now we are going to start with the third graph is directed graph. Okay, so as a name you can understand also here directed graph, the graph which is having the any kind of directions. Okay, is represented by an ordered pair of vertices vi and vj, which vi to vj there are. Now you can see here the example of directed graph. These graph also containing the 4 vertices. Okay, so now v1 to v2, these are the pair of vertices v1 and v2. In directed graph, if here writing we are writing v1 comma v2 and directions are there, it means in between v1 and v2 as is existing. And what about v2 to v1? The as are not existing because direction is there here, v1 to v2. Okay, so now the loop. What is the loop? What is the loop? As drawn from a vertex to itself. Now you can see here the loop. The name you can guess what will be the definitions of loop. The loop, it's connecting to itself. The called loop. Then the next important points are there. Parallel edge. What is the parallel edge? Now we are going to see here parallel edge. The pair of vertices are allowed to join by more than one edges. Then resulting graph is called the multigraph, and these are called as a parallel edge. You can see here these are the parallel edge. Okay, and about here it's very quite simple. So now the next graph is simple graph. The simple graph containing no loops and no parallel edges. Guys, please write down.